The morning sun came through the windows of high school. It was a Wednesday in late spring. The weather was warm and the sky was clear blue. Birds sang outside the windows. Everything looked normal. Everything felt safe. Sat at her desk near the window. She was 17 years old. She had long black hair that she kept in a simple ponytail. Her eyes were dark and quiet. She wore the standard school uniform like everyone else. Nothing about her stood out. Most students in the class did not even notice she was there. She was drawing in her notebook, small sketches of the classroom, the door, the windows, the hallway outside. She did not know why she drew these things, it was just a habit. Her father had taught her to always watch, always notice, always remember where the exits were. Her father had been in the military, special forces. He never talked about what he did, but he taught strange things when she was young. How to move quietly, how to watch people without them knowing, how to find the weak points in any room. She thought it was just a game back then. Now it was just part of who she was. Mr. stood at the front of the classroom. He was teaching history today. He talked about old battles and ancient generals. Most students were not listening. Some were on their phones under their desks. Some were sleeping. Some were passing notes. Sat next to. He was tall and athletic. He played soccer for the school team. His hair was messy and his uniform was never quite right, but he had a good heart. He was one of the few people who talked to like she was normal. He leaned over and whispered, "What are you drawing?" Covered her notebook with her hand. "Nothing." "You always say that," he smiled. "Come on, let me see." She showed him quickly, just the sketches of the room. Looked confused. "Why do you draw the classroom?" Shrugged, "I just do." At the front of the room, raised her hand. She was the class president. She was smart and organized. Her hair was cut short and neat. She always knew the right answer. Mr. called on her and she answered perfectly. Some students rolled their eyes. Others did not care. Sat in the back corner. He had his feet on his desk and his arms crossed. He was known for being difficult. He argued with teachers. He made sarcastic comments. He trusted no one. Right now he was staring out the window with a bored expression. The class continued. Mr. talked about how ancient armies used the land to win battles, how they hid in forests, how they attacked from places the enemy did not expect. Actually listened to this part. It was interesting. Then the lights flickered. Everyone looked up. The lights flickered again. Then they came back on. Mr. paused. "Must be the electrical system. The school is old." Some students laughed nervously. One boy made a joke about ghosts. The class relaxed. But did not relax. She looked at the window. The sky was still blue. The birds were still singing. But something felt different. She could not explain it. It was like the air had changed. A low rumble shook the building. It was soft at first, like a truck passing on the street, but it grew louder. The windows began to shake. Pencils rolled off desks. The lights flickered again. Mr. held up his hands. "Everyone stay calm. It might be an earthquake. Get under your desks." Students started to move. Some laughed nervously. Some looked scared. They had done earthquake drills before. This was normal. But did not move. She was looking out the window. The sky was changing color. The blue was fading. Something purple was spreading across it, like ink in water. "What is that?" someone asked. Everyone turned to look. The purple color grew darker. It blocked out the sun. The classroom became dim. The birds stopped singing. There was only silence. Then they saw it. A shadow fell over the school. It was huge, bigger than the school building itself. It moved slowly across the sky, saw the shape of it through the purple haze, long and angular, metal that gleamed with a strange light. It was not a plane. It was not a helicopter. It was nothing from Earth. It was a ship. The students froze. No one spoke. No one moved. They just stared at the thing in the sky. It was impossible. It could not be real, but it was there, right above them. Stood up slowly. Her chair made a small sound against the floor. Everyone else was still frozen, but she was moving. She walked to the window. She pressed her hand against the glass. It was cold. The ship was descending. It was coming down toward the school, toward them. Grabbed her arm. What is happening? She did not answer. She was watching, thinking. Her mind was working fast. The ship was big, very big. It would need a flat space to land. The soccer field behind the school, that was where it would go. She was right. The ship moved toward the field. It lowered slowly. There was no sound from its engines, just that low rumble that they could feel in their bones. Mr. finally spoke. His voice was shaking. Everyone, we need to evacuate, follow the emergency procedures, go to the main stairs. Students started to move. Some were crying. Some were shouting, tried to keep order. She called out instructions, but no one was really listening. Fear had taken over. Did not move toward the door. She was still watching the ship. It had landed now. She could not see it from her window anymore, but she could see something else. Smaller shapes rising from where the ship had been. They were moving toward the school. They are coming, she said quietly. Was beside her. Who, what are those things? The shapes moved fast. They were not human. They were tall and thin. They had too many joints in their arms and legs. Their skin was gray-green. They wore armor that pulsed with soft light, and they carried weapons, long and sleek, things that looked like they could kill with a single shot. The first one reached the school building. It moved through the main entrance like the door was not even there. There was a flash of light, then a sound like thunder, then screaming from the floors below. Mr. pushed the students away from the door. Stay back, everyone stay back. But there was nowhere to go. They were on the third floor. The stairs were the only way down, and those things were coming up. Stood up from his desk. His sarcastic expression was gone. He looked scared like everyone else. What do we do? What the hell do we do? No one answered. Mr. looked lost, was trying to call for help on her phone, but nothing was working. The other students were panicking. Turned away from the window. Her face was calm, too calm. Her eyes moved around the room. The door, the windows, the ceiling, the floor. She was looking at everything, seeing everything. In her mind, her father's voice spoke. Old lessons from when she was a child. When everything goes wrong, do not panic. Watch, think, find the weakness. Every enemy has one. She did not know what those creatures were. She did not know why they were here. But she knew one thing. They had made a mistake. They thought humans were helpless. They thought this would be easy. They were wrong. The screaming from below grew louder. Then it stopped. That was worse. The silence meant something terrible had happened. Everyone in the classroom knew it. Mr. moved to the door. He was a good teacher. He cared about his students. He wanted to protect them. He opened the door just a little and looked into the hallway. A flash of green light hit him in the chest. He flew backward and crashed into the desks. Students screamed, ran to him. He was breathing but unconscious. There was a burn mark on his shirt. The smell of something electric filled the air. The door swung open. One of the creatures stood there. Up close it was terrifying. It was over 2 meters tall. Its body was thin like a stick insect. It had 4 arms, 2 large ones and 2 smaller ones near its chest. Its head was shaped like a triangle. 2 huge compound eyes covered most of its face. They were made of hundreds of tiny segments, like a fly's eyes. They reflected the light in strange ways. Its armor covered most of its body, gray metal with lines of blue light running through it. The lights pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. In its large hands it held a weapon. It was pointed at the students. No one moved, no one breathed. The creature made a sound, clicking and buzzing. Then the blue lights on its armor flickered in patterns. It was communicating, but not with sound, with light. More creatures appeared behind it, 3 of them. They moved into the classroom. Their movements were smooth but strange, too many joints bending in wrong directions. One of them grabbed a desk and threw it aside like it was paper. Students backed against the wall. Some were crying. Some had their eyes closed. They were waiting to die. But the creatures did not shoot. They just stood there, watching, waiting. Then the intercom crackled. A voice came through. It was not human. It spoke Korean, but the words sounded wrong, like a machine trying to copy human speech. People of this building, we are the masters of 12-star systems. Your planet has been chosen. You will not resist. Resistance is not possible for you. You are too primitive, too weak. Stay where you are. Obey and you will live. Disobey and you will die. This is your only warning. The message repeated, then repeated again. The creatures in the classroom seemed satisfied. They moved to block the door. They were not killing anyone. They were keeping them trapped. Hostages, that was what this was. Had pressed herself against the wall with the others, but she was not crying. She was not even scared anymore. Fear had been replaced by something else. Focus. She watched the creatures, everything about them, how they stood, how they moved, how they held their weapons, how they looked at the students. Their eyes, those huge compound eyes, they never stopped moving, always scanning. But they only looked forward. When one student moved slightly to the side, the creature had to turn its whole head to see. No peripheral vision. Their eyes could see many things at once, but only in front of them. Their communication, the lights on their armor, they flickered in patterns when the creatures wanted to tell each other something, but they needed to see each other's armor to communicate. In the dark, they would be cut off. Their weapons, when one creature adjusted its grip, saw the weapon light up briefly before settling down. A charging mechanism. The weapon needed time to power up before it could fire. Only a second or two, but that was something. Their movements, precise, perfect, too perfect. They moved like they had practiced the same motions 1,000 times. They followed formations. They did not improvise. They did not adapt. They expected everything to go according to plan. Stored all of this in her mind, piece by piece, like a puzzle she was building. Was beside her, he whispered, barely making sound. "What do we do?" She looked at him, then at the others. 22 students, plus Mr. who was still unconscious. They were just teenagers. They had no weapons, no training, no chance. But knew something that did not. Humans were never as helpless as they looked. She leaned close to, "Watch them, tell me what you see." He looked confused, but he did what she asked. He watched the creatures. After a minute he whispered back, "They do not look at the corners, they only look straight ahead." Good, he was learning. Looked at, the class president was kneeling beside Mr. She was trying to stop herself from shaking. She was scared, but she was holding it together. Caught her eye, she made a small gesture, "Come here." Hesitated, then she carefully moved along the wall. The creatures tracked her movement but did not react. She reached in. "What is it?" whispered. The intercom said, "The message. It came through the school system. That means they connected to our network." Understood immediately. The emergency broadcast. If they can use our system, maybe we can use it too. "Can you do it?" asked. Thought for a moment. There is a control panel in the main office, but we would need to get there, and we would need to get past them. Nodded, "Not yet, but maybe later. For now, just remember it." She looked at, he was pressed against the wall near the back. His face was pale, but when caught his eye, she saw something else there. Anger. He was scared, but he was also angry. That was useful. She gestured for him to come closer. He hesitated longer than had, but eventually he moved. "What do you want?" he hissed. "You sit near the science lab," said. "You know what is in there." Frowned. "Chemicals, lab equipment, what about it?" "Some of those chemicals are dangerous, if mixed the right way." His eyes widened. "You want to make a bomb?" "Keep your voice down," glanced at the creatures. They had not reacted. They probably did not understand Korean well enough to follow whispered conversations. "Not a bomb, but something that could help us." Stared at her. "Who are you?" Did not answer. She turned back to watch the creatures. Time passed. Minutes felt like hours. The creatures stood guard. More messages came through the intercom. The same words repeated. They were giving orders to the outside world now. Surrender. Do not approach. Your military weapons are useless. Listened, she learned. They were arrogant. They believed humans could not fight back. They had probably conquered many planets before. Easy victories. They expected the same here. That arrogance was a weakness. One of the creatures moved to the window. It looked outside. Its armor lights flickered, communicating with others. Could see the pattern now. Quick flashes meant orders. Slow pulses meant acknowledgement. It was simple, too simple. An idea formed in her mind. If she could copy those patterns, she could confuse them. Make them think orders were coming that were not real. Chaos in their communication. But she needed light. She needed control of the environment. Right now they had both. She looked at the ceiling. The lights were still on, but there was a power box at the end of the hallway. Every floor had one. Her father had shown her once, long ago, how to cut power if there was an emergency. She had thought it was useless information. Now it might save their lives. She could not do this alone. She needed help. She needed the others to trust her. These students who barely knew her name, who had never noticed her in 3 years of school. She had to become someone else, someone who could lead. Took a deep breath. She stood up straight. The movement made the nearest creature turn its head. Those compound eyes focused on her. The weapon twitched slightly. She did not move. She just stood there, looking back at the creature, showing no fear. The creature watched her for a long moment. Then it looked away. It had decided she was not a threat, just another scared human child. Good, let it think that. Turned to the other students. She spoke quietly but clearly. Listen to me, all of you. We are not going to die here, but you need to do exactly what I say. Can you do that? Some students looked at her with confusion, others with disbelief, snorted. Why should we listen to you? You have never even talked to most of us. Because I know how to beat them, said simply. Silence, everyone was staring at her now. Spoke first, I believe her. Nodded slowly, what is your plan? Looked at the creatures one more time. They were still ignoring the students, still confident in their victory. First, she said, we need to turn off the lights. Gathered the students in the corner farthest from the guards. She spoke in whispers so quiet they could barely hear her. The creatures watched but did not approach. They probably thought the humans were just comforting each other, scared children huddling together. Let them think that. The power box is at the end of the hallway, explained. If we can reach it, we can cut the lights on this floor. In the dark, they cannot communicate. Those light patterns on their armor will be useless. Shook his head. How do we get to the hallway? They are blocking the door. We need a distraction. Looked at the students. She counted them, 22. Some were athletes, some were smart, some were creative. Everyone had something useful. Does anyone have their phone working? 3 hands went up slowly. They had jammed most signals, but the phone still worked for basic things. No calls, no internet, but the camera worked. The flashlight worked. The sound recorder worked. Took one of the phones. She opened the voice recorder. Everyone, talk into this, say anything, make noise, scream if you want. We need loud sounds. The students looked confused, but they did what she asked. One by one, they recorded themselves, shouting, crying, calling for help, put all the sounds together. Now, she said, I am going to throw this phone into the hallway. When they go to investigate, we'll slip out and reach the power box. The rest of us will stay here and keep their attention. Nodded, his face was serious. He understood the risk. What about their weapons? Asked. If they see him, they will shoot. They will not see him, pointed at the ceiling. There is a gap between the ceiling tiles and the real ceiling, big enough for someone to crawl through. Can you do it? He looked up, then back at her. I can try. Do not try, do it. There was steel in her voice, a strength that surprised everyone, including herself. They prepared, chose the moment carefully. Two of the guards were looking out the window. Only two were watching the students, and those two were focused on the center of the room. Crawled to a desk near the door. She held the phone in her hand. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady. She threw the phone into the hallway. It hit the floor with a clatter. Then the recording started playing. Screams and shouts filled the corridor. The sound echoed off the walls. They reacted instantly. All four of them turned toward the door. Their weapons came up. Their armor lights flickered rapidly. They were confused. The sounds were coming from outside, but they had left guards in the hallway. Were those guards under attack? Two of them moved into the hallway to investigate. That left only two in the classroom. Moved, he was fast and quiet. He climbed onto a desk, pushed aside a ceiling tile, and pulled himself up. In 3 seconds, he was gone. The tile slid back into place. Nobody saw him. The two remaining turned back to the students. They scanned the room. Their eyes moved across every face, held her breath. One creature made a clicking sound. It seemed satisfied. All the students were still there, still huddled in the corner, still harmless. Minutes passed. Watched the door. She could hear them in the hallway. They had found the phone. They were examining it, trying to understand what had happened. Then the lights went out. Total darkness fell over the 3rd floor. Students gasped. Some started to panic, grabbed the nearest ones. Stay quiet, stay still. They reacted with confusion. Their armor lights flickered wildly. They were trying to communicate, but in the darkness they could not see each other's signals. They made clicking sounds instead, but those sounds were not enough. They had never needed to communicate with sound. They did not know how. One creature fired its weapon blindly. The green bolt lit up the room for a split second. It hit the wall. Nobody was hurt. Now whispered, Phase 2. She had given everyone a job during the planning. Now those jobs came into action. 3 students with phones turned on their flashlights. They pointed them directly at the compound eyes. The creatures reacted like they had been hit. Those eyes were made to process many images at once. Sudden bright light from multiple directions was overwhelming. While the stumbled moved. He had been ready. He had spent the last hour quietly gathering supplies from the science lab corner of the room. Chemicals that he had memorized the properties of. Not a bomb, but something close. He threw a beaker at the nearest creature's feet. The glass shattered. Chemicals mixed on the floor. Smoke erupted. Thick white smoke that filled the air. They choked. The smoke was getting into their breathing systems. They had not expected this. Their armor did not protect against chemical attacks from children. Moved through the chaos like a shadow. She had picked up a metal rod from a broken desk. It was not a weapon, but in the dark with a confused enemy it did not need to be. She swung low, hit the back of his leg. The joint bent the wrong way. The creature fell. Dropped from the ceiling behind the second creature. He tackled it from behind. They crashed to the floor together. They was stronger but was fighting for his life. He held on with everything he had. Grabbed the fire extinguisher from the wall. She aimed it at the creature's face and sprayed. The white foam covered its compound eyes completely. It could not see. It could not fight. The other students swarmed. They were not trained fighters. They were teenagers, but there were many of them and only 2 creatures. They used chairs and desks and books, anything they could find. In 30 seconds, both were down. Stood in the middle of the room. She was breathing hard. The metal rod was still in her hand. Is everyone okay? She asked. Voices responded from the darkness. Yes, we are okay, we did it. But they had not done it, not yet, knew this was only the beginning. She called, check their weapons, can we use them? He tried. The weapons did not respond to his touch. They were coded to biology. No, he reported, they will not work for us. That was disappointing but not surprising. They would have to keep fighting with improvised tools. Came up beside her. His hands were shaking. But there was a wild look in his eyes. He had enjoyed that. "What now?" he asked. "Now we take back the floor." Walked to the door. She listened. She could hear them from the hallway coming back. They had heard the fight. They were returning. But the hallway was dark now, and the students knew this building. Every corner, every room, every hiding place. "Split up," ordered. "Groups of 4. Each group takes one classroom. Use phones for distraction. Use chemicals if you have them. Use anything. Do not fight face to face. Hit them when they do not expect it. Then disappear." "This is insane," muttered. "This is guerrilla warfare," corrected. "Humans invented it thousands of years ago. We have been fighting each other longer than these things have been traveling between stars. Now move." They moved. The next hour was chaos, but it was controlled chaos. Chaos. Groups of students hit the patrols from behind. They threw things from dark corners. They made noise in empty rooms. They led the creatures on chases through hallways where they knew every turn. They could not adapt. Their formations fell apart. Their communication was useless. They were designed to fight armies, ships, organized military forces. They had no idea how to fight shadows that came from everywhere and nowhere. Did not fight much herself. She moved between groups, watched, adjusted. When one team was in trouble, she redirected another to help. When they concentrated in one area, she had students make noise somewhere else. She was not a soldier. She was a conductor, and the chaos was her music. By the end of the hour, 6 more had fallen. The students had taken the entire 3rd floor. But the real enemy was still coming. Through a broken window, saw movement on the lower floors. More, many more. And at the front of them was a figure that was different from the others. Bigger, more decorated. Its armor had gold lines instead of blue. Its movements were angry. Commander had decided to deal with the problem personally. Watched him come, and for the first time since the invasion began, she smiled. "Good," she whispered, "come find me." Commander was furious. He had conquered 11 worlds. He had destroyed fleets of starships. He had brought entire civilizations to their knees, and now he was losing soldiers to children. It was impossible. It was embarrassing. It could not be allowed to continue. He led 20 of his best warriors up the stairs. Their weapons were fully charged. Their armor was set to maximum protection. They would sweep through the 3rd floor and end this nonsense in minutes. The stairs were dark. The humans had cut the power, a minor inconvenience. Eyes could see in low light. They did not need human electricity. But the darkness was deeper here, too deep. Something was blocking even the small amount of light from outside. Looked up and saw that the humans had covered the windows with cloth and paper. Crude, primitive, but effective. His soldiers bunched together at the top of the stairs. Their armor lights flickered as they tried to coordinate, but the flickering was useless when they could not see each other clearly. "Use voice commands," ordered. His own voice was sharp and clicking. "Standard formation, sweep left to right." The soldiers obeyed. They moved into the hallway. Their weapons swept back and forth, searching for targets. There were no targets. The hallway was empty, just abandoned classrooms and scattered furniture. Then a sound came from the left, a door opening, footsteps running. 3 soldiers moved toward the sound. They entered a classroom, empty, but there was another sound now behind them. They turned. A desk came flying out of the darkness. It hit the lead soldier in the chest. He stumbled backward into the others. More sounds from all directions. Footsteps, voices, things moving in the shadows. The soldiers fired. Green bolts lit up the darkness. They hit walls, desks, windows, nothing alive. "Spread out," commanded. "Cover all angles." His soldiers tried to spread out, but the moment they separated, they became vulnerable. A student dropped from the ceiling onto one soldier's back. Before the soldier could react, something liquid splashed across his face. Chemicals. His eyes burned. He screamed in clicking sounds. Another soldier turned to help. Something hard hit the back of his head. He fell. It was like fighting ghosts. Watched his soldiers fall one by one. The humans were not fighting fair. They did not stand and face they attacked from behind, from above, from places that should not have been possible. And they were using their own tactics against them. Saw it happen. A group of students had captured one of the fallen soldiers' armor. They had not taken the weapons which were useless to them. They had taken the armor lights. Now those lights were flashing in the darkness, sending signals, false signals. "Regroup at position 7, the lights said. Some of soldiers saw the signal and obeyed without thinking. They moved toward position 7, but position 7 was a trap. The humans were waiting there with chairs and chemicals and fire extinguishers. Roared in rage. "Ignore the light signals. They are fake. The humans are using our own communication against us." But the damage was done. His soldiers were confused. They did not know which signals to trust. Some followed the real orders. Some followed the fake ones. The formation fell apart completely. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were supposed to be primitive, weak, disorganized. They were not supposed to understand tactics. They were not supposed to adapt. But these humans were adapting faster than could believe. Somewhere in the darkness watched the chaos unfold. She was tired. Her arms hurt. Her eyes burned from the smoke that still hung in the air. But she could not stop now. The plan was working, but it was not finished. She found and hiding in a supply closet. They were exhausted too. Some students had been injured. Minor wounds, but they were still hurting. This could not go on much longer. "The commander is here," said. "The one with the gold lights on his armor. He is their leader." "So what do we do?" asked. "If we take him down, will the others surrender?" Maybe, maybe not, thought for a moment. But if we capture him, we have a bargaining chip. And more importantly, we send a message. A message to who? To everyone, to the other aliens, to whoever is watching. Eyes were cold and hard. We show them that humans are not easy prey. Nodded slowly. How do we capture him? He is surrounded by soldiers. We separate him from them. Pulled out a piece of paper. She had drawn a map of the school. Lines and arrows covered it. There is a path. Through the old gymnasium. It is on the other side of the building. If we can make him think we are escaping that way, he will follow. Why would he follow personally? Appeared behind them. His face was streaked with chemical residue. He could just send more soldiers. Because I hurt his pride, smiled slightly. He came here himself because he was embarrassed. A commander who cannot defeat children. If we run, he will chase. His pride will not let him do anything else. It was a gamble. Everything about this plan was a gamble, but they had no other choice. Gave orders quickly. Most of the students would stay here and keep the remaining busy. Small groups, hit and run, keep them confused, keep them chasing shadows. A smaller group would come with her. 3 others who had shown courage during the fighting. They would lead to the gymnasium. And there they would end this. The plan began. This group moved through the halls. They did not hide now. They let themselves be seen. They ran past open doors where soldiers could spot them. Saw them, he saw the direction they were going. "They are running," one of his soldiers reported, "toward the old building." "I will handle this myself," said. "Stay here, contain the others." He moved after the running humans. His long legs covered ground quickly. His weapon was ready. His golden armor lights blazed with anger. The humans were fast. They knew this building. They turned corners and went through doors that had to break down, but he was gaining on them. They led him through a connecting hallway into the old part of the school. This area was not used anymore. The walls were cracked. The floors were dusty. Old equipment was piled in corners. Kicked open the gymnasium doors. The room was large and dark. Basketball hoops hung from the ceiling. Old mats covered parts of the floor. and in the center of the room, one human stood alone. Yep. She was not running anymore. She was just standing there, looking at him. Stopped, his weapon pointed at her. You led me here on purpose. Yes. Why, do you want to die alone instead of with the others? Shook her head. I am not going to die, and neither are you. We are going to talk. Laughed. It was an ugly sound, clicking and buzzing. Talk. You think you can negotiate with me? You are a child. Your planet is already ours. Nothing you do matters. Then why are you here? Asked calmly. If nothing we do matters, why did you come personally to stop us? Why did you chase me instead of sending soldiers? The question hit harder than any weapon could, because she was right. He should not be here. A commander did not chase children through schools, but his pride had driven him. His need to prove that humans were nothing. Continued. You expected us to surrender, to beg, to cry and wait for death, but we did not. We fought back, and we hurt you. Your soldiers are falling to teenagers with no weapons. Your communication has been turned against you. Your formation is destroyed. She took a step toward him. You told us we were too primitive to resist, but here I am, still standing, still fighting. What does that say about your intelligence? Grip tightened on his weapon. It says nothing. You got lucky, that is all. Is it luck? Gestured at the room around them. Look where you are. You followed me here alone. Your soldiers do not know where you went. Your communications are useless in this building. You are in a place you do not know, fighting an enemy you do not understand. She paused, let the words sink in. Commander, you are not hunting us. We have been hunting you. For the first time, felt something he had not felt in decades of conquest. Fear. He raised his weapon to fire, but did not move. She just smiled. I would not do that, she said. Look up. Looked. In the shadows of the ceiling he saw them. More humans, hiding in the rafters, on the old balcony, behind the equipment. They were everywhere. And they all had something in their hands. Bottles, jars, containers. Do you know what halon gas does to biology? Asked. I did not either until today. But your soldiers reacted very badly to the chemicals we used earlier. So I had my friends collect all the halon fire suppressant they could find in this old building. She pointed at a valve on the wall, was standing next to it. Her hand was on the control. If I give the signal, she releases all of it. This room fills with gas. Your armor cannot filter it fast enough. You collapse. Maybe you die. Maybe you do not. Either way, you lose. His compound eyes darted around the room. He was calculating. How fast could he fire? Could he hit all the humans before they released the gas? Could he escape? The answer to every question was no. What do you want? He asked finally. Smile faded. Her face became serious. I want you to understand something. Something your species needs to learn. She walked closer to him, close enough that he could kill her with one strike. She was not afraid. Humans are not primitive, she said. We are survivors. We have been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We have invented every tactic you know and 1,000 you do not. We conquered our own planet with nothing but sticks and rocks and the will to survive. She looked directly into his compound eyes. You studied our technology and thought us weak. You never studied our history. That was your first mistake. Coming here was your second. And underestimating a classroom full of children was your third. She stepped back. Now put down your weapon, or find out what else we can do. Looked at her for a long moment. This small human child. This nothing creature from a nothing planet. She had beaten him. His weapon clattered to the floor. The moment's weapon hit the floor, everything changed. Did not celebrate. There was no time. She moved quickly, giving orders, and came down from the rafters and secured the commander. They used rope from the gymnasium equipment. Were strong, but even they could not break through multiple layers of climbing rope. Kept her hand on the valve, just in case. Your soldiers, said to, tell them to stand down. Hal asked bitterly. "You destroyed our communication. I cannot send signals." "Then we do this the old way," pulled out a phone. The emergency broadcast system had figured it out hours ago. They could broadcast to every speaker in the school. Handed the phone to Speak. "Tell them their commander has been captured. Tell them to drop their weapons." Hesitated. His pride screamed at him to refuse, to die with honor. But he looked around the room, at the humans with their gas canisters, at the girl with the cold eyes who had outsmarted him. There was no honor in dying to children. There was only shame. He took the phone. He spoke in his own language. The message broadcast through the school. For a long moment nothing happened. Then they heard it, the sound of weapons being dropped, the sound of surrender. Outside, sirens were wailing. During the chaos had managed to send a signal, just a short burst, enough to tell the military where they were, enough to let them know that help was needed. Korean soldiers were already surrounding the school. They had been afraid to move in while they held hostages, but now the hostages were holding the. When the military finally breached the building, they expected to find dead children. They expected to find monsters in control. Instead, they found a commander tied up in a gymnasium. They found alien soldiers sitting with their hands up, guarded by teenagers with fire extinguishers. They found a quiet girl sitting on a basketball court, drawing in her notebook like nothing had happened. The commanding officer approached her. He looked around the gymnasium in disbelief. "What happened here?" Looked up from her sketching. "We defended ourselves." "How, you are just students." She shrugged. "We paid attention in history class." The next few hours were chaos of a different kind. Medical teams rushed in to treat the wounded. Mr. was taken to a hospital. He would survive. Most of the students had only minor injuries, cuts and bruises, some chemical burns, nothing permanent. They were taken into custody, all of them, including Commander. As he was led away, he looked back at. Their eyes met across the gymnasium. There was no anger in his expression now, something else, something like respect. "What is your name, human?" he called out. She answered. "I will remember it." He paused. "My superiors will hear of this. They will come back with more soldiers, more ships. They do not accept defeat." Walked toward him. The soldiers escorting tensed, but she stopped a few meters away. "Good," she said. "Let them come, and let them bring this message from you. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not give up. We have fought wars for thousands of years, against nature, against each other, against everything the universe has thrown at us, and we are still here." She leaned closer. "Your people traveled across stars. You built ships and weapons. You conquered planets, but you never learned the one thing that matters: how to fight someone who has nothing to lose, someone who refuses to die." She stepped back. "Go back to your leaders. Tell them about the children who beat their elite soldiers. Tell them about the girl who captured their commander with science experiments and broken furniture. Tell them that if this is what happens when you attack a single classroom, imagine what will happen when you fight all of us." Stared at her, then he nodded slowly. "I will tell them," he said, "and I think they will be afraid." He was led away, watched him go. Came up beside her. "Do you think they will come back?" "Yes," turned away from the departing aliens, "but we will be ready." Days passed, the world changed. News of what happened at high school spread everywhere. At first, people did not believe it. Alien invasion, teenage resistance, a girl who outsmarted a galactic commander. It sounded like a movie. But the evidence was undeniable. Video footage from phones, interviews with students, the captured technology. The universe had changed and there was no going back. Governments demanded answers. Scientists studied the alien weapons and armor. Military leaders developed new strategies. Everyone was preparing for what might come next. And somewhere far away, the Galactic Council watched. There were just one species in a vast community of star-traveling civilizations. Earth had been classified as a primitive world, not a threat, not worth attention. The attack was supposed to be simple, a quick conquest of a weak planet. But the reports from Commander told a different story. Humans were not weak, they were dangerous. They adapted faster than any species the Council had encountered. They used everything around them as weapons. They did not fight fair. They did not give up. A single classroom of children had defeated an elite strike force, with no real weapons, with no training, with nothing but creativity and the will to survive. The Council revised their classification of Earth. No longer primitive, no longer harmless. Dangerous, approach with extreme caution. Some Council members suggested sending a larger fleet, crushing Earth before humans could spread beyond their planet. Others disagreed. If children could do this, what could trained soldiers do? What could an entire planet united against a common enemy achieve? The Council debated, and while they debated, humanity prepared. At high school, repairs were new windows, new walls, new everything. The building would be a memorial now, a symbol of human resistance. Sat at her desk, the same desk she had always sat at, near the window, she was drawing again. The classroom, the door, the exits. Some things never changed. But other things did. Now when she walked through the halls, people noticed her. They nodded, they smiled, they knew her name. Sat beside her like always. You know you are famous now, right? Did not look up from her drawing. I know. Government people want to talk to you, military people, scientists, everyone. I know. Leaned back in his chair. So what are you going to do? Finally looked up. She looked around the classroom, was organizing something at the front, was arguing with someone in the back, but there was no real anger in it anymore. Other students were talking, laughing, trying to return to normal. They had all changed. The fear was gone. In its place was something else. Confidence, strength, the knowledge that they could face anything. I am going to finish high school, said simply. Graduate, maybe go to university. Laughed, that is it, after everything. Smiled, a real smile, the first one had ever seen from her. For now, she said, but if they come back, I will be ready. She returned to her drawing, but this time she was not drawing escape routes. She was drawing a starship, human design, something she had imagined. Someday humans would not just defend. Someday they would reach the stars themselves. They would meet the Galactic Council as equals, maybe as something more. And if anyone tried to stop them, they would learn the same lesson Commander had learned. Never underestimate humanity. Outside the window, the sky was clear and blue. Birds sang in the trees. The sun shone down on a changed world. It was a beautiful day. And somewhere out there, among the countless stars, civilizations that had never heard of Earth were about to learn its name. They would remember it. Just like Commander remembered the name of the quiet girl who beat him. The girl who looked at an impossible enemy and refused to be afraid. The girl who proved that humans, for all their flaws and weaknesses, had something no other species in the galaxy possessed. The will to fight, the creativity to adapt, and the stubborn, impossible refusal to ever give up. That was humanity's greatest weapon. And the universe was about to learn to respect it.